GPT-5 is here and it's topped the leaderboard for the most performant AI model. I've been testing how it compares against previous models in areas like front-end coding, writing, and complex physics simulations to see how good really is it. Let's dive into our first test. So for our first test, we're going to have GPT-5 try and build a whiteboarding app like Miro or FigJam. So I'm going to give it this prompt and let it do its thing. Worth saying, if you don't have access to GPT-5 yet and you want to kind of speed things along, something that you can do to try and speed things up a little bit is sign up for a new account. This is what I had to do. Weirdly, my GPT Plus account didn't have GPT-5 yet, but if I just created a new account, it gave me access. So I can see here it's starting to fire up some of the code. We'll just let that finish doing its thing and then we'll come back and see what it's built. Okay, so it's finished writing the code. If we run this, it should open up the canvas and we can see what it's built. So it looks a little bit MS Paint, a little bit buggy by the looks of things, but not a bad starting point. It's definitely got the kind of the key idea of something like Miro, but I'm not kind of blown away. I would say actually the version, when I ran this prompt in ChatGPT 3, it looked visually a bit better, but it didn't have quite as much functionality. It didn't have this kind of like being able to see other people, and I don't believe I could change the type of markers. So it's definitely interpreted it in a slightly different way, but visually I'm surprised actually that it's kind of not better, and this kind of weird buggy thing, I'm not quite sure what's going on there. So overall, it's okay. I'm not super impressed by this, but I can see that it's done some things a little bit better. Supposedly one of the big upgrades with GPT-5 is that it can now write front-end code more effectively with minimal prompting. So I'm curious to have it build a basic website to see how this visually looks and how it compares against using tools like Lovable and Cursor. So let's let that do its thing and then we'll see how that looks. Okay, so it's finished writing the code. I'm going to run this and see what it's put together. Now, interestingly, when I ran this on 03, it actually broke and just came back with a bunch of errors. So the fact that this has come back with an actual working landing page is already a big step forward. Interestingly as well, the GPT-5 prompt took significantly longer to write code. It was doing a lot more in the background. Now, this to my eye looks pretty good. It's not phenomenal. I would say that it's not quite as good as what I would expect to come back from something like Lovable. Probably better than what I would expect from Cursor. Cursor doesn't sort of seem to, you have to prompt it a lot to kind of get something visually good. You can get there, but you have to work a bit harder. Probably going to be the same case with GPT-5. But it's not bad in terms of sort of quickly throwing together a landing page. This has kind of got a lot of the basics right. There's a few kind of issues, little bugs, missing images. But again, this is nothing that I wouldn't expect to see using tools that are kind of specifically built for this purpose. So all in all, pretty impressive, but not completely blown away. And I don't think this completely kills tools like Lovable, Cursor, VO, those kind of things. I think they still seem to have a place, but yeah, impressive. For this next test, we're going to be using GPT-5 inside a tool called Lindy. So Lindy is a tool that I use to automate my life. You can build workflow automations that have AI agents as part of them. So I built a couple of workflows inside Lindy that are not working quite as I like because the models are making incorrect decisions some of the time. So I'm going to try changing the model from 03 to GPT-5 to see whether that makes a difference or not. So the example I'm going to use is this inbox manager agent. So this manages my inbox. It unsubscribes me from newsletters that I don't want to be a part of. It drafts replies automatically, can schedule, can do a few different things that just help keep on top of my inbox. So there are two areas of this where I notice a few false positives and just where the model isn't kind of working as I'd like. The first is the spam filtering. There's been some emails that have been classified as spam that are not spam. And the other area is the newsletter unsubscribe. So this basically what I'm doing here is I'm asking the AI agent to detect if it's a newsletter based on if there's an unsubscribe link. If so, extract the unsubscribe URL, fire up a computer, and then go and try and unsubscribe me. Now, it doesn't do this perfectly. Sometimes, for example, if someone's worded the unsubscribe thing in a funny way, it just doesn't pick that up, which kind of surprises me. It feels like that shouldn't be that hard. So I'm going to go ahead and change this over to GPT-5. So Lindy, pretty impressively, GPT-5 came out last night and Lindy had this shipped within a matter of hours. So this is pretty incredible that they've got this already. So yeah, we're just going to change it from O3 to GPT-5, and I'm going to run a couple of tests and see if this does a slightly better job. So we'll deploy that and go. Okay, so I'm going to just test this on an email that was incorrectly categorized yesterday. So this is a domain renewal message that I got. Yesterday it categorized this as spam. It's not really spam. This is something I actually need to go and do something with. So I'm just going to run this test and we'll just see if changing the model does anything. In truth, probably what should happen here is that I should revisit the prompt and make the changes there. But I'm just curious to see whether one of the kind of big sort of things with GPT-5 is that it's just generally smarter. So I'm wondering if just keeping the prompt, changing the model, if we get a different result. So we'll wait for that and see what happens. Okay, so it's come back saying the email is legit, so it's not classified. Oh no, so it has classified it as spam still, but it's worked out that action is needed. Okay, so it's still doing what it did yesterday. So this tells me it is a case of revisit the prompt. Just thought it'd be interesting to see if we got a different thing happen there. That'd be kind of interesting, but in this case, it didn't. Okay, so next we have GPT-5 try and build a basic game. So I've given it a prompt to build a modern interpretation of Snake. It's got some code, we're gonna run it, see how this goes. So when I did this on O3, it did build something, but it was pretty useless. It didn't even have a snake, so hopefully this is better. So let's hit play. Okay, so we actually have a snake, that's a good start, and I'm using the keys, it's kind of doing everything I would expect. So let's try and pick up. So I don't think I actually got longer there. I might have missed that, but I think the whole point is when you get these, you get longer. So that's kind of unusual. Okay, so it's a little bit buggy, but like again, as a first pass, not bad. If I go into a wall, is it? Yep, it's a game over. So it's got the basic concept. It's not perfect, but as a first start, that's pretty good. As I say, compared to O3, which basically built something completely unusable, that's a pretty big step forward. So next we're going to test it at writing content. Ideally, we'd come up with a complex challenge with seeing how it does with subtle character development and all that stuff. Instead, I'm going to get it to just write a YouTube description because this is something that I already do with GPT-03 and it's okay, but I always have to rewrite it. It's never quite what I want. It always sort of sticks in a million emojis and massively hyperbolic. So I'm just going to give it an example from my last video and just say write a YouTube description. So let's see what it comes back with. Okay, so this is actually pretty decent. It's kept the format. It's kept all the kind of main conventions like timestamps. We've got hashtags at the bottom. We've got watch next. So all in all, that's pretty decent to my eye and significantly better than what I got back from O3. My first impression of GPT-5 is that it's definitely a big step forward, especially when it comes to building front end and little web apps, but it doesn't quite replace vibe coding tools yet. I'd still rather go to Lovable or Cursor and have it use the GPT-5 model rather than build code directly inside of GPT. It's not quite there yet, maybe GPT-6, but for me, not quite there yet. And when it comes to anything remotely agentic, connecting tools to it, again, I would rather do that in a tool like Lindy, which has access to thousands of tools. I can connect it to WhatsApp, LinkedIn, rather than just the few tools that GPT-5 now connects to. If you want to learn more about Lindy, I recently did a review on the platform where I go through all the different features, which you can watch here. Hope that has been useful, and I'll see you in the next video.